Welcome to another episode of the Fork This podcast, where we're talking to amazing independent food producers, retailers, and other artisans in the local area. And today, joined by Rachel from Silly Moo Cider. Rachel,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Really good, really good. I'm excited about this. You
Yeah,
seem
me
still a little bit
too.
nervous.
Not used to being on camera, but let's give it a go.
I don't know, we keep coming back and finding you again and again. So
I wish you'd stop.
I will look into that. I'm not promising anything. So we're going to be talking mainly about Silly Moo Cider today.
Yeah.
And I'd really like you to start by giving us a bit of insight as to how it started, when it started, why it started.
Why? It's a good question. So we started farming about 12 years ago, 13 years ago now, 2012. My parents bought the land around the house that they were living in and started with a herd of, I think, 15 cows and a handful of fields. And one of those fields was a south-facing field that my dad's friend, who was working in wine at the time, came and saw it, and he said to my dad, "You must grow grapes. Please grow grapes. I will make wine from it." That's the thing you've got to do with the south-facing field. So they thought about it for a while, and as much as we love wine, it's quite hard to grow grapes. It's getting easier, and we are making fantastic wine in this county, but it is still quite hard to grow grapes organically. And so we looked into growing apples, and you can plant an orchard and get a good crop without using any fertilizer. So that's what we started doing. We planted the orchard about 12 years ago. I think we took our first harvest maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and it's slowly grown up since then.
Yeah.
We aren't just using our own apples from our orchard. We also do an apple swap, so we get in fruit from local people, their garden apple trees. They bring us their fruit and we give them cider in return. So we blend that with our own apples, and we buy in some dessert fruit from Kent and some cider apples from Somerset, and that's it.
So we have spoken with Andrew about the side of Trenchmore and the cattle side of the business as
Yes.
well. But for others that don't understand, the farm is sustainable. This is something that's really important to you guys. Can you explain a little bit about that and what that actually means?
Yeah, sure. So when we started, we wanted to build a business that was sustainable in 3 ways. So economically, had to be viable as business. Environmentally, wanted to do as little damage as possible, which in cattle farming is quite a complicated thing to manage. And also ethically, we wanted to be an ethical farm that supported local businesses and supplied good food for local people. So those are the kind of 3 pillars of sustainability that we were working towards. About 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, we started to learn much more about regenerative agriculture, which is kind of a step past sustainable farming. And that is where you try and improve the health of the soil with various farming practices. And actually cattle are a massive part of that. So yeah, the way that we farm, the way that we graze our animals, what we feed them, the way we grow our apples, everything is kind of as minimum intervention as possible, whilst also trying to plough lots more carbon and sunshine back into the soil to improve its health.
How important is it for people, like the whole sustainability and regenerative farming? Is it something that people are still sort of learning about, or is it something that a lot of people feel very strongly about?
I think it's a mixed bag. I think people are becoming more aware of how important it is the kind of foods that we buy, the farming practices that we support, what impact that will have on the environment and animal welfare. But I still think there's a lot to learn, and I still think that there's a lot of progress to be made in farming. Food production has a lot to answer for, and there are ways of producing food that are really great for the environment, good for the soil health, and you can have, very happy livestock, healthy livestock, and produce delicious food as well.
There's always one thing that comes up when I'm talking to people and I start saying, for example, oh, there's a farm shop here, or you can go down and buy it straight from the farmers, or anything like that. And people will immediately jump to, yeah, but it's more expensive. And there's a real big problem, I'd say, for most people, that what you find in the supermarket at some ridiculous price points, it really isn't the same product. I think this is something that's really important for people to understand.
Yeah.
How do you kind of help people understand that and get over that kind of element of, it's more expensive potentially, yes, but actually it's a very different result that you're getting, right?
Yeah, I think with our beef and cider, I'd like to hope that you can taste the difference. I think...
Is that the Sainsbury's tagline now?
Yes, it is. Sorry, Sainsbury's. With our cider as an example, a lot of the mass-produced ciders out there, especially available in the supermarkets, they're made with, I think in this country, it's been a while since I checked, but it used to be, I think, that your cider had to only have 35% juice content for it to be classified as an apple cider, whereas traditionally cider's pure apple juice. And the rest of that product would be made up of water and sugar, apple concentrate, and other nasties. So the style of cider that we're making is kind of taking it back to being as full juice as we can. When we pick and press our apples, we don't add any sugar before fermentation, so it's just pure apple juice at that point. We don't actually add cultivated yeasts either. We just let the wild yeasts on the apple skins do their thing. And then we rack that off and blend it with more apple juice. So it's a very appley, very juicy, not overly sweet, but very natural product that tastes delicious.
But it's also something that's I'm not going to call it small batch because I don't think that's fair, especially after you just told me how many thousands of litres have just come back.
I think about 12,000.
12,000 litres,
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say small batch. I feel like that doesn't do it justice. But this isn't the same as and I'm trying to think of one of the big sort of Aspels or
Thatchers.
Your Thatchers.
It is, in comparison to that, we're tiny, absolutely tiny. We're not a hobby cider producer. We're supplying lots of pubs and restaurants and hotels and shops across the county and in fact the country through various wholesalers. But we, in comparison to the big guys, we are a drop in the ocean.
But you're also a much nicer product by the sounds of it as well.
I'd like to hope so. Yeah.
And a healthier product. I don't actually know. I'm going to be careful how I say this. Drink responsibly, I think is the correct terminology. But it's probably, if it's just basically apple juice, you can have it for breakfast. But it is something that is a massive difference because I think most people don't realise the effort and the work that goes into it. And I know we've spoken about this before in other videos and other things that we've done, but the actual process is fairly simple when you tell it to us.
Yeah.
And actually it's quite pure, I'd say, in a way.
Yeah.
Do you want to run through the process?
Yeah, so essentially picking apples in the autumn in this country, that's when they're ripe, and then we scrap them, mill them, let them sit for 24 hours, and then press them to try and get as much juice extraction as we can, fill up the tanks, and let them ferment. They ferment for a few months, kind of depending on the temperatures, and then once they're finished fermenting, we rack them off the lees, which is like the yeast sludge that kind of sits at the bottom, and store them for anywhere up to 2 years where they kind of continue to mature in flavour. As you said, that in itself is very simple. With cider, we've learnt that many things can go wrong at many points in that process. Part of the struggles or complications is that we have chosen not to use cultivated yeasts and to try and make it as minimum intervention as possible. And one of the things that can happen when you're using the natural wild yeasts is that you can develop kind of slightly interesting, sometimes slightly off flavours with that. There's a farmhouse funk, as people might refer to it. It does vary year to year. What we found is that because we've been using the wild yeast for so long, you kind of develop these gorgeous wild yeasts that live in your cidery and in your orchard that do come back year after year. And so there is consistency in flavour, but you do have less control over it. But I think it does develop more interesting, complex flavours, so that's why we go for it.
I like the cider, I won't lie, so that's not the problem. But I do think you've mentioned there, sort of talking about some of the challenges and the complications, but actually what are some of the biggest challenges as a farm producing a product like that? What are some of the constraints and the challenges that you come across on a regular basis?
In production, so those who are very familiar with Silly Moo might be aware that last year we actually had a product recall, which is something that I like to talk about too much. But it actually, once we kind of did a lot of investigating and kind of worked out that it was a problem that happened at packaging. So we're very grateful that the packagers took responsibility for it, and it wasn't something that we did here. We don't do any of the packaging on site because that's a whole other game and lots of kit that we don't have. So we send it off to Somerset, where it gets packaged by expert packagers. Something went slightly awry. Part of the issue that we have is that we like to put so much fresh juice into our cider. And so if you have even the slightest amount of yeast alive in that juice, and we do pasteurize our cider, and you can pasteurize, and the yeasts can be dormant and then kind of come back to life. So it is quite a hard thing. And then what can happen is that it can start to re-ferment in the bottles, which is every cider maker and beer maker's worst nightmare. Some of you might have seen it on Clarkson's.
I was going to say,
farm.
I thought you guys were just copying the marketing technique by Clarkson and just copy the same thing.
He led the way on that one.
Yeah, a couple of exploding bottles and everyone's talking about you. That's the way to do it, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure in the right way, but yes. So that happened last year. We've learned from it, and we're kind of moving towards trying to do things even better and avoiding that ever happening again. But that's one of the nightmares that can happen when you're producing a very natural, real product which has a high juice content. In terms of selling it, one of the complications that I find, because that's my remit, is that I struggle to get into a lot of pubs when they have contracts with big breweries. So they they're sellers, or they might be owned by a brewery, and then they are very limited in what they can put on their taps. So that's one of the struggles, but I think all small producers, independent breweries would have the same issues. So you just got to, keep finding the independent pubs.
Yeah. Is it a challenge purely because they're limited to what they can buy and therefore they can't kind of get out of that?
Yeah.
We came across I think it's called the White Horses maybe, in Rottingdean. That went down, and so it's part of Green King, huge big chain obviously, but they've kept a side of their bar and they're calling it the Discovery Bar. So they're only trying to sell products from Sussex, and they want to have it rotating and give people a chance to try things.
Good to know.
Yeah. So
I'll hit up the White Horses.
So definitely something there for you to look into. But I did think it was nice though, because it means that you can still be a big chain, and you can still help promote local and keep that kind of side to it. Because I think a lot of times, especially at the moment anyway, and around the Horsham area and things like that, we've gone too much towards the chains and the big companies, and it's a real shame to see independents kind of getting squeezed out. And I think that's something that most people probably don't realise why it happens or how it happens. But if you're given a choice between a local product and a big multinational, what would you prefer to actually buy? Why
wouldn't you go for the local one? I mean, price obviously is a factor for some people, but as we said, when you're talking about different kinds of products, hopefully the price is justified.
The price is definitely justified. It's a lovely cider. We did mention Clarkson as well, and I have to ask you this because I've always asked the same question to other people as well. But how do you feel about what he's done for farming? Because actually Clarkson's farm, at least from our point of view, we've seen it as being a great success as a program, as an entertainment media, but actually as an educational platform, it's done a lot, hasn't it?
I do agree. I have mixed feelings about the man, and I have mixed feelings about him representing all farmers in the discussion about the inheritance tax. But I think Clarkson's Farm as a documentary show did amazing things in bringing farming and how hard food production is, and the tiny margins that he made from farming. Obviously, he's making lots of money elsewhere. I thought that it was great that he was talking about it and that people were listening, and it kind of started up conversations. And I've had loads of conversations with people who were not previously seemed to be that interested in farming as a result of it. So yeah, for that I'm pleased. I'm grateful. Thank you, Jeremy.
Don't like you as a person, Jeremy, but thanks for what you've done for the cause.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a bit harsh, but that's fair enough. Shall we try some of the cider?
I think we should.
So what are we going to be trying first?
So these are the two styles that we made. This is Cowfold cider. This is the first cider that we made. So this is the same recipe that we started with 7 or 8 years ago. And it is pure juice. It's fermented apple juice blended with fresh juice. Sometimes with trying to get the sweetness on spec, we might have to add a little bit of water, but it's a very small percentage of the total liquid, and nothing else. No sugar, So it's very, very appley.
Let's find out how appley it is. If it's very appley, it's basically one of your 5 a day. That counts, right?
I'm making no claims.
It's really nice because it's not overly sweet.
No.
You have a far more flavour of real apples, I would say.
Yeah.
I choose that word incorrectly. Not like some apple juices, that taste very fake.
Yeah.
Like lots of sugar, lots of sort of flavour of a particular type of apple. And yes, I feel like it tastes a little bit more countryside.
Yeah, it's a proper cider. It's not a kind of super fruity, sweet, acidic, fizzy cider. What we kind of wanted to make with Silly Moo is that it would be a halfway house between those styles, which generally come from the East Coast, and then there's like the West Country scrumpies. So it uses half cider apples, which give it that tannin and complexity with dessert and fruit apples. So it's quite a nice balance.
I'm going to have to ask something, because for other people that haven't ever picked up a bottle of Silly Moo, there's a little phrase on the back of these bottles. I'm going to get you to read it out.
Is it unusually civilised? That one?
Yes.
Unusually civilised farmhouse cider.
And what does it say just after that?
Gluten-free and vegan?
No. I'll read it, because clearly she doesn't want to. But you've got lusciously fruit forward with a long tannic finish, Silly Moo is produced by Rachel in Sussex. She doesn't have an unkempt beard or a West Country smock, but she does make an unusually civilised farmhouse cider.
There we go.
And I really like that, though, because there is an element of, you guys have actually poured your heart and soul into these products, and I've seen that as well with the beef side of things, and I think with the ciders it's the same.
Yeah, absolutely, to the point of having put my name on the bottle.
Yeah, well, your name on the bottle.
Forget that it's on there.
Yeah, you'd forgotten about that phrase, which probably sounded quite good at the time when it went onto the packaging.
Yeah, no, it is. It really is. I mean, we're very hands-on with every aspect of it, including drinking it. So
it's always a good sign. If you don't like your own product, then that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
So what's the difference then? Because you mentioned this is sort of like, for you, this is like a cider.
Yeah.
But then actually that's kind of confusing because this is
This one's
actually called a cider.
Yeah, that's a good
so
point.
what's
This is also very much a cider, but it's slightly more juicy and fruity.
Right.
So there's a difference in the ABV. This one is a 4.8% and this one's 4.2, and essentially it's got more apple juice in it. We also have filtered this one, so it's a clear product. This one has been left unfiltered, so it kind of has a slight haze to it, only a light haze. It actually, the reason it's now called cider, the spelling is C-Y-D-E-R, C-I-D-E-R, so cider with a Y is kind of the oldie English way of spelling it. So we're kind of trying to connote that we make it in that traditional way. It used to be called unfiltered cider, and that's what still a lot of people call it. And then someone made a really good point that it's a white label with a cow on it, and it didn't have, it said Silly Moo Unfiltered on the front, and people thought it was milk because it didn't have cider on the front of it. So we changed it to cider to really reinforce that it's a cider.
How many people complained that it didn't taste very good with their cereals in the morning?
Yeah,
or actually, how many people liked it because they could put it in their cereal in the morning?
Yeah.
That's crazy that people would think, it doesn't look like a milk bottle, come on.
It was more so the can, I think. It would be like when we're doing events and stuff, when we'd have like markets.
People
or
just
festivals.
weren't sure.
Yeah, they're like, are you selling milk here? No, very much not.
Well, speaking of markets and festivals as well, that's also something that's very important to your side of the farm here as well, which is all the different various events you do. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the various ones that are coming up soon, I guess?
Well, for a bit of history on the events, we were very much like business to business facing for the first few years that I was involved at Trenchmore. And so we dealt with restaurants and chefs and pubs and hotels and shops and butchers. But in the lockdown, everything kind of got flipped, as it did for so many businesses. And we lost all of our trade accounts overnight. And so in a real panic, thought, how are we going to shift all this produce that we've got? And we set up an online shop and then started out with doing deliveries around Sussex, Kent, London and Surrey.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big area.
It just sort of roped in because the family were here. So I'd roped in my mum and my brother and his partner and me would do the deliveries. And then my dad every Friday would stand in the yard and people could come and collect. And it was a really amazing thing because I think people were so desperate for a bit of connection at that point. And so they'd be parked with so much space between each car, which now feels like a mad time. I mean, it was a mad time. And they would stand outside of their cars sort of talking with meters apart from each other. But we kind of quickly realized that there were enough people coming to collect that we didn't have to do all the deliveries. And then one of our friends who was a chef that we'd worked with before but was furloughed set up a pizza business. And he said, when people come and collect, can I come and bring my pizza van and sell them pizza? And we're like, fantastic. So that was kind of the first pop-up event that we did here. And then it grew from that. And then for the last 3 or 4 years, we've been running the farm shop every single Saturday. So we're open 11 till 4. As of last year, we have a resident burger boys who are here every Saturday called Three Bros. All their burger mince comes from the farm, their cheese comes from a local dairy, and their buns come from Flowerpot Bakery in Brighton. Their burgers are phenomenal.
They are. I can attest to that.
Yeah. And we're very, very proud that they're here every Saturday. And so people can come and have a pint of cider, have a burger, pick up some produce. And then that was going very well, so we've started to kind of bring in a few more events. And one of the first ones that I did here was a market. So it was a food and drink market. And we just got, I think, maybe something like 12 different stalls, all from Sussex, all fantastic food and drink producers. And they come and bring their own produce, and you can come as a visitor and try things, buy things, taste things. We have a band that comes, a DJ that keeps the vibes going. And the burger boys are here. We also have the pizza van. and a coffee van, and as of this year, an ice cream van. So it's a really good day out for the whole family.
It's getting bigger and bigger.
It's getting bigger and bigger. And Nev and Dad do a farm tour each time, so you can join that. It's very optional. It's just about an hour's walk around the yard and the fields to see the animals. So yeah, it's really good fun. So they've been fantastic, and they're still growing. And then more recently, we've started doing supper clubs, which you've been to a few of
I
them.
have as well, yes. I do like the supper clubs, I won't lie.
They are fantastic. We get in different chefs, mainly from, all from Sussex, often from Brighton, come and cook 3 to 5 courses using a lot of our produce and other Sussex produce, and they're really special events.
I will attest to this and just make a really quick note. So obviously not sponsored directly by any means, but the main idea behind that is that actually doing something different in Sussex, so not going to the same restaurants, not going to the same places time and time again, and actually having those unique experiences where the menu is completely different. And actually it's a set menu, which I also love. No picking, just turn up, enjoy what's given to you, and they're fantastic. And I know that you've recently done, I don't know if it'll be recently done or it's about to happen, one of the two. But you're also collabing with a chef and with Ben from Spice Sussex to make a menu that specifically is using, so not just your products, Spice Sussex products with a local chef, all happening here in the farm.
Yeah, and it's not just any local chef, it's Michael Nutman-Watt, who was a MasterChef semi-finalist last year, who's phenomenal. We've worked with him a lot in the past. And then Ben from Spice Sussex, who I actually met through one of our markets. He has a stall, and he's fantastic, and his products are incredible. So Michael has made a menu which includes our products in every course, apart from dessert, because beef doesn't go that well with chocolate, and Michael's Spice Sussex salts and condiments in every course.
Fantastic.
So it will be, very special.
Another exciting one to come.
To look forward to, yeah.
How important is I'm going to call it the tourism side to a certain extent, but these kind of events, the markets, the supper clubs, how important are they to farms?
It's becoming more and more important. I think when we started farming, the idea that we would have a sustainable, economically sustainable farming business from just farming, even though we do it slightly differently to lots of farms in that we work directly with restaurants, the idea that you could sustain the business from that was something that we thought we could do. The subsidies have been reducing and are about to vanish, and then the restaurant business is a really tricky one at the moment. Ever since COVID, it's been really, really hard for restaurants to remain open, and pubs as well. People aren't spending as much. The cost of everything has gone up so much. Cost of labour's gone up. So yeah, it's a difficult time to be relying solely on the trade side of the business. So yeah, for the last few years we've kind of diversified, and actually it's been fantastic. As much as it is a lot of hard work and it doesn't always feel fantastic, the fact that we get immediate feedback from our customers is quite a special thing, and lots of farmers don't get that privilege. So that comes especially with the supper clubs, and people when they come and buy beef on a Saturday and they say, I came last week and I bought this and I'm buying it again because I made the most incredible oxtail stew, or cooked this steak for my kid and she devoured it, or whatever it is. Like, that's such a special thing that we're really lucky that we get to see that. So, and also it's about becoming more resilient with the environment. Climate change is becoming harder and harder to farm in a way that you can, there's so much planning that goes into when you sow your crops, when you put your cows out, and the weather becoming less predictable is making that a lot harder to manage. So last year we actually had planted a crop of wheat that just totally failed, and for some farmers, if you were relying on that as a massive part of your income, that would be a complete disaster. But thankfully for us, we've got other streams, and that kind of keeps us going.
Yeah. Well, I know that a lot of the vineyards as well are now looking at the same sort of thing, right? The tourism side has to account for, and not just, I guess there's multiple elements to it, but one, it's a nice way for people to get to know you. If they haven't been before, they might come along for a market experience or something, and then they get to know you and discover that. So there's an element of the marketing angle, but I also think, like you say, the resilience side of having income streams that don't rely on
On the weather.
Not just the crop, not just the weather, but also not
Yeah.
just your big clients, right?
Yeah.
The one big trade account that suddenly says, well, we're not taking that anymore. That can be crippling for most businesses, let alone for
Massively.
smaller businesses as well. It's a real challenge.
Yeah, I think for us as well, like you said, when people come here and they see how we farm, they really buy into what we're doing. And we don't have a budget for marketing, so we rely heavily on word of mouth and people tasting it and seeing and coming here and talking to us and asking all the questions and then telling their friends about it.
Or people like us that just keep coming back and filming stuff with you for no reason, right?
Yeah,
Just for fun. Okay, so obviously as part of the show, the idea is every week we try and take our product from the previous guest and bring it on to the next guest. So today we've actually brought on some incredible goodies from the bakery Gwyn's in Horsham.
Me.
I think you've already tasted
Yes, I
some
am.
of these
Yeah,
products as
very
well.
Familiar.
So there's the linseed sourdough, which in my opinion is currently probably the best bread. Actually, I'm going to really upset someone. I'm going to go and say like it's the best bread I've had locally in Sussex.
Oh, without a shadow of a
Ever.
doubt.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
I also brought a bit of their baguette because I think it's fantastic as well. And actually their cinnamon buns, which I don't know if you've tried.
I haven't yet, but I'm a big fan of cinnamon buns, so I might have to
Cinnamon
get
buns.
stuck
So I
into
don't
that.
know how well these things will go with Silly Moo Cider.
Oh, everything goes with Silly Moo Cider.
You see, so basically, there you go. It's like breakfast. You have a little bit of a nice slice of bread, a bit of
Bit of fruit.
So help yourself. Try some of the linseed. I know you've already done it before, but then that way we can get the your take. You can tear it with your hands. Trying to do things
civilised.
nicely. Yeah. We're on a farm. It's supposed to be.
That's true. Rustique.
It's supposed to, yeah, exactly. Call it rustique. Here we go. I'm going to join you with a little piece of this bread because I do think it is fantastic. It's so good.
It's so good. The flavour of the linseed really comes through. It's not just there for decoration.
But it's also just perfect. It's not overly stodgy on the inside. The outside is with that perfect kind of bite to it. Yeah, I've got to be honest. Like,
Well done, Ben.
yeah, it's just always back to like, well done, Ben.
Yeah,
But there are so many incredible producers, suppliers, independents in and around where we are, this part of the world. And it really is everything from
We're so lucky.
this to beef to cider to wine to cheese to lamb to, and it just doesn't matter. Every time I go out, speak to someone, I end up finding about a new place and another person that's doing something, and from a small holding to a big farm to whatever it is, it's crazy.
Doing it in their kitchen, yeah. I think that's why we were so keen to do these markets, just to kind of really shout about all the incredible producers that we have in this county.
And there are a lot. And the last, actually, I think it was your autumn market. I've got to try and remember the autumn market. Yes. And again, there were so many, and again, I'll say smaller producers. Let's call them smaller when we're talking compared to the big boys that you find in your Tesco's and your Sainsbury's or whatever else. But doing some really amazing things. So whether it is sort of the spice, Sussex spice, whether it's curing rebels, which I think for a lot of people, if you haven't seen their products, we are still trying to get them on the show. There's a little plug, and hopefully you'll be nice and come on. But they do I'll give them the plug anyway.
Go on down and
They do the salmon pastrami, which is just banging as well. And it's a product that, again, until I saw it and tried it, I was like, what's salmon pastrami? Like, and then I tried it and I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so you really need to try that out as well. I think it's a must.
They also make these beer sticks, which we've stocked here, which I think they're called, like, it's like a Goan spice mix. And they are to go with the, I mean, obviously cider here, but they're just so good. so good.
All right, we'll get those on the show as well. Right, you said you've never tried a cinnamon bun.
Yeah.
Are you ready for a cinnamon bun?
Pop that down.
No, you're okay. You can finish it as well. You can eat
we'll
it.
come
There's plenty of
back to that
time.
bit of crust.
We can do the creative editing afterwards. It's not a problem. So here you've also got a little bit of baguette if you do want to try it first. But if you want to go straight to the cinnamon bun,
I'm going to get stuck in.
So, and this has become a firm favourite for me and my wife on a Saturday morning to swing past Gwyn's. If we get there on the right time, because they also do these sausage rolls, but they only come out at about 11, and they're usually sold out by about 11:15. Yeah. So if we catch it right, we pick up a sausage roll and one of these, and that's literally like our perfect idea of a brunch. That's it. You don't need anything else that day.
Saturday.
But again, so good.
So good.
Not oily, not fatty, and just the right amount of cinnamon flavour as well. And most importantly, does it go with a Silly Moo Cider?
Oh, can confirm.
That goes very well. There you go. You see, we've just found a new pairing.
Yeah.
Silly Moo Cider and a nice
I mean, cinnamon and
cinnamon bun.
apple. What's not to love?
Well, basically, it's a
But it's
dessert.
fine.
Rachel, thank you so much
Thank
for today.
you.
Is there anything that you want anyone to know, or what's the best thing for people to do so they can keep up to date with all things Silly Moo, all things Trenchmore?
Well, if you see it in a pub, please buy it. That's the first
Or in
thing.
Gatwick, actually. I forgot to ask
We're
about
in
this.
Gatwick.
You're in
We
Gatwick
are in
Airport
Gatwick,
now.
yeah.
So
We're
if you're
in
on
the
that
Sussex-
6 a.m. early morning flight, you can now have
get stuck in.
a cider from
It's the
Silly Moo.
land side, so it's before you go. So you've got to get there early enough to have a pint, and then you can go through security.
I like it.
So
Only
at
have
5:30
one
a.m.
before going
Yeah.
through security,
Yeah.
just in case.
It's dangerous.
But that's an amazing achievement as well, right?
Yeah, really pleased about that. That actually came about as part of the Sussex 6 initiative.
Yep.
So Gatwick have really, they're really going for it, and they're getting lots of local producers in, which is incredible.
The way it
Go
should
Gatwick, yeah. The other thing I just want to say was just to come and visit us, really. We've got lots of events going on this season. So we have a Morris dance. We have the Michael Notman Watt Spice Sussex Trenchmore Farm Supper Club on the 4th of April. We have a spring market at some point in April. I think it's the 27th.
We prepped well on this, didn't we?
It's a lot of dates to remember.
I'll make sure that all the dates are written down below,
Yeah,
just
so I
in
just
case.
beat my mouth and do a voiceover. And lots more going on. So yeah, check out the events page on our website, trenchmore.co.uk.
Perfect. And we'll add all those links as well. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you.